be very brief. The layout for today is we're going to have the panelists who will be talking first, and then I'll be speaking, and then we'll have Q&A at the end. And I'd like to say that the panel represents what Defend Rural America About. It's a coalition of different interests beginning to pay attention to each other's issues and defend them as well as their own. And through coalition building and working together, we can have a critical mass and begin to push back. The speakers, including some from Siskiyou County and Norte County, have all contributed their time. Nobody today is receiving any money or income. So it's quite amazing, frankly. You know, you have Dean Wilson, Sheriff Dean Wilson from Norte County, who's come down and driven down here to deliver a message and a warning, basically, to San Luis Obispo County, and has come down for, I think it was about 11-hour drive one way, 22 hours to deliver a 10-minute speech. I have the objective here on the panel is to be able to convey the issues, the problems. So each speaker is being held to 10 minutes. Now each one of these speakers can talk and give a full presentation, I guarantee you, and do an excellent job. There will be follow-up events where we'll be able to develop each of these details in considerable, each of these issues in considerable detail. So today's effort is primarily to begin to just get a taste of some of the problems that we're going to have today. And so with that, let me go ahead and turn over the system to Sheriff Dean Wilson.
Can you all hear me? Hello?
Hello.
Can you all hear me? All right. Don't want to travel all this way and not be heard. Some of you are probably wondering why a sheriff is talking to you and why we're even bothering with this. Most of you see the sheriff's duty as that of protecting the people from crime and punishment. No, that's true. But we also take an oath, and that oath is to the Constitution. And that oath means that your rights, your life, your liberty, your choice, and your pursuit of your happiness is also the responsibility that falls to sheriffs, because in the world of law enforcement, we are the only elected representative of the people, the sheriff. No other law enforcement is elected. So our duty, our responsibility is to the public that we serve. And the Constitution is the guideline that we have to abide by. So when something comes down that is a violation of that Constitution, your rights, your liberties, your freedoms, then it's the responsibility of the sheriff to take care of those and to look after the public that he serves. In my county, about 76% of the property owned is controlled by the federal or state agencies. We had an economy that at one time was driven by timber as the primary resource. Most of that was lost when the Spotted Owl Protection Act went into effect. And the impact financially, are we alive and well? The impact of that financially was devastating to our community. The Spotted Owl Protection Act devastated the rural counties in California and Oregon and Washington. We had dramatic unemployment, drug and alcoholism, domestic violence, dropout rates, poor education because the schools lost money. We used to have some of the best schools in the country, in our county, but because of the loss of the income, we have become one of the poorest. We are still a strong farming and agricultural community. The fishing industry is one of the best on the Pacific Coast. Tourism is one of the few economy-driven areas because of the Redwood National Park. Visiting to our beach, our harbors, our rivers, fishing, hunting, salmon. But all of that, of course, is placed in jeopardy. An alphabet soup of federal agencies are attempting to stop farming and ranching along our rivers, claiming authority over the water and private land, and threatening to levy heavy fines for those who fail to permit taking water that they have taken for centuries without permitting. Those kind of issues that threaten their cattle and their crops. These permits have never before been required by a federal agency, and claiming the authority over the waters of the Americas that the federal agency has. The farmers and the ranchers have a right to clear their drainage ditches because they now have they want to claim that the water that is seasonal in there from time to time, they have authority over those ditches. So now they're unable to even clear and maintain their own fields and their own farms and ranches. Ladies and gentlemen, water is life. Where it exists, life exists. Where it does not exist, life cannot flourish. And because of that, they are attempting to control water. Because if they can control our water, they can tell us where we will live. And they can place us where they want us. And that is what is occurring in our rural communities. In my county, the Forest Service has introduced a travel management plan and a land management plan. These plans have shut down, or are trying to shut down and restrict road access to many of our communities. This has a direct impact as a sheriff to the public safety, health, and welfare. As we need those roads to be able to fight fires, to prevent fires. We also need those access in order for search and rescue operations and public safety as a whole. But more importantly, the rights, the enjoyment, and the recreation that our community has enjoyed as part of its culture for hundreds of years is dependent upon access to those wilderness areas. As they try to control this, they put into plan in my county back in 1995 a land management plan that will right now threaten our radio communications that is necessary for my community, my county, to have access outside of our county to the rest of the state and to the world. They say that this access is being limited because they did not place within their travel management plan the top of this mountain, Red Mountain, as a transmitter site within our community. And that they're telling the state and myself that we have to be off of that top of that mountain in 2022. This places the safety, health, and welfare of my community in danger because no other mountaintop will provide the communications necessary in certain areas of my county than the people that that area serves. And it's my responsibility as sheriff to make sure it's provided. A multi-million-dollar installation will be removed because the National Forest Service Land Management Plan did not designate a certain area that has been in effect since 1935 as an area being utilized for spotting fires and for communication since 1935 in our community. They did not designate it as a transmitter site, and now they want it removed. What they are attempting to do is remove all human activity into the back areas of our community and our rural areas. They want to eliminate human activity in those areas, close down roads, shut them down. And they use very deceptive means in their road adoption because they did not show the public they only showed the roads that they're adopting in their plan. They do not show all the roads within that area, so that way you do not have an idea of the impact that it will have once they initiate their plans. In Placer County, they lost 92% of their backwood roads with the travel management plan being initiated in their community. The federal, state, and local environmental groups, along with tribal groups and NGOs, have taken on the coho salmon in our area as the new spotted owl. They're attempting to say that the coho salmon, the watershed protection that they must have to improve the spawning grounds of the coho salmon, are going to be able to direct and control and try to eliminate ranching and farming along the rivers in an effort to protect the watershed. They're trying to initiate monitors on our wells and try to limit the amount of water that a person can drain from their wells in their communities. They're also initiating actions within other communities where they're trying to say you cannot build a home in their communities, in our counties, unless you are on a septic system and a water system, which will effectively limit and devalue the properties outside for any kind of ranching or farming utilization. It will kill rural county life. But they want to do this. Their intention is to do this. They want to drive out our ability to make our livings, to have our lives, and to enjoy our lives within our communities. And this is a threat to our life. As a sheriff, we depend upon the ability of jobs and the creation of jobs to create that tax base so we can provide the services necessary. When we threaten that, when we take away their money, we take away our ability to provide the services to the community. Off of our oceans, they're initiating the Marine Life Protection Act, which cordons off very rich fishing areas off of our shores to try to stop the ability of our fishermen to make a living out there. We have agencies that have been formed without congressional authority, the EPA and others, passing rules and regulations and policy that effectively take our rights away. We have lands that are managed by the federal government that are burning out of control because they fail to manage even to the standards that they have set in order to prevent wildland fires. That, again, affects our communities and affects our ability as a county and as a sheriff. Our ability our requirement is to take care of the health, safety, and welfare of our community. These mismanagement of our forests place every one of our communities at risk. California just went through one of the worst wildland fire seasons that we've ever had. Spent millions of dollars in fighting these fires. Much of this would have been prevented and controlled had we managed our forests appropriately and properly. It has become clear to me over the past few years that our liberty is being threatened, not by some strange outside force, but from the inside out. You know, we have stood idly by while the TSA pats us down and our freedom is lost just a little bit. We see open carry laws passed in our state and violate our Second Amendments, and our freedom is lost just a little. We have 12-year-olds allowed to be given abortions without parental consent, and our freedom is lost a little. The National Defense Authorization Act was passed, allowing the military to take police action on U.S. soil and abolish the due process for those accused of working with Al-Qaeda, and our freedom is lost a little. We have military practicing in U.S. cities, and the DHS training on large-scale civil unrest, and our freedoms are lost, and may be lost a lot. Patrick Henry once wrote, "The Constitution is not an instrument for the government to restrain the people. It is an instrument for the people to restrain the government, lest it become to dominate our lives and our interests." You know, Ronald Reagan said, and this has become one of my favorite sayings, that freedom is never more than a generation away from extinction because we didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. They must be fought for, protected, and handed on to them to do the same. Or one day, we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like to be in the United States, where men were free. You will hear from the other men here in our panel about other issues that they are dealing with. But don't be disheartened, because there is a way that we can take care of these things. There is a methodology for a resolution. But it takes each of us, because it's each of our responsibility. You know, we've been handed this country and a great Constitution, that the first principle of that Constitution is that there is a God. And because of that, we have been blessed with our rights. And they have been granted to us by God, not by government, not by man. And so we each have those rights, but it's our duty and our responsibility to defend those rights. And there is a methodology to doing so. And we'll hear about that a little bit later. But I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for coming to these events, because unless we are willing to stand up, each one of us, and take our individual responsibility, we will never, ever be able to reclaim what has been lost and protect what is ours. Thank you so much.